spirit, Bishop, is trouble. And I want you to know, Elder Wick, that when you're dealing with church folk, there will come a moment in your life where they will trouble your spirit. And when they begin to trouble your spirit, they don't know the effect that they have on the pastor. And it seems like every message God gives you is a weeping message. Every message God gives you is a message that causes you to drop your head. And they think there's something going on in your life. Ain't nothing going on in my life. And I'm covering you. And I'm going to God on your behalf. And here you pushing me and don't know where you're taking me. But David had a relationship with God that other folk didn't quite understand. Yeah, I'll be the first to admit David messed up. David did some wrong in his life. David made some mistakes in his life. Every man or woman God has. The Bible says, he that is not sin, let him cast the first stone, for we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But when the preacher stumble and fall, then everybody want to push him. Yeah. They see you when you fall down, Ezra, but they don't ever see you when you get back up. But when you get back up and God they elevate you and turn you out those stuff, they begin to call you everything on time of life. But I dare you to push. There, David was made to flee from his own country by the rage of Saul. Saul upset now because God had seen his mistake and was getting ready to bring David up. And one thing about folk, Elder Wick, that when God get ready to bring you up, there's going to be some folk even in your congregation going to tell you what God should told them to tell you and why he told them to tell you when he would have dropped it on you first. And then if they had told you to tell them, it would have been confirmation when they came. But when you tell them God ain't showed me that yet, pastor don't think nobody can talk to God but him. But portion! Now, David, I'm going to preach for you today. David was soon discovered who he was and what brought him out of his own country. Even when he was in danger in his own heart, it was so fixed that David was trusting God. And when David began to reminisce over his life of how good God had been to him, David realized that everything he had been through, he owed God some praise, because God had brought him through dangers seen and unseen. God had brought him from a mighty long way. And David thought about the goodness of the Lord, and as God was elevating him, he dropped down in that 23rd chapter and said, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green patches. He restored my soul, leading me beside the still water for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk, that's the part I'm trying to get to right now, through the valley of the shadow of death. There's some folk that even in your congregation, Elder, that'll take you through a valley. But I dare, while you're going through your valley experience, I dare them folks to get behind you and push. Because the more you push me, that's the more I'm getting to my greater destiny. But David knew what he was talking about, because he said, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Because there's been some haters that didn't want me to get to where I'm going. There's been some folk that didn't like me, that didn't want my ministry to go anywhere. You know, they said, Elder Wick, you shouldn't be in Aiken County. There ain't no room for you down there. The folk don't want you down there. They shut this building down. You had to come up with another building because they thought they were driving you out. But what they didn't know, they were only lifting you up. Because everything you knock down, God will reach down and pick it up. And I dare you to keep pushing. But here is David. Now, Bishop Bailey David thought about everything God had done for him. And I can imagine in Pastor and Elder Witt's life, there come a moment when they get behind closed doors, they have to reminisce over all the time that we did ministry under tents, how we did ministries on this corner, how we did ministries on that corner. And I can guarantee that sometimes the ministry wasn't profitable. You didn't raise a dime, but you did it from your heart. And somebody didn't show up this night, somebody didn't show up that night. But because folks didn't want you to be there, they were pushing to drive you out. But what they didn't know when they were pushing to drive you out, God was planting you right there. But David realized that God was a good God. Not only did he realize that God was the good God, but he realized that my praise is all I got. Yes. Even though they tried to drive me out from my homeland, yes, I still remember this over where God had planted me. Yes. And why can you reminisce when trouble is on your track? Well, I heard a writer say you got to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. And I come tonight to encourage and Pastor Witt that there's going to come a time when trouble will find you out. And it ain't because of your sin, but it's because of the haters that God has placed in your circle. And I don't know about Elder Witt tonight, but I'm glad to have some haters in my circle. That's why people say I don't want to be around folk that don't like me. But this is thing I beg the difference. I don't mind having folk around me that don't like me. Because the more they dislike me, that the more they pushing me to my death. Because I can look at you and still love God. I can look at you and still love God how much you don't like me. I can look at you and realize how you hate me. But I heard the writer say, when I dream of the good Jesus and all that He's done for me. Now can't you see David getting happy in his sanctified soul? He began to reminisce over how good has God been to him. And out there in a field by himself, David said, I might as well give God some glory. Because I thought about when I wrote in Psalm 35. Say his anger is only for a moment, but his favor is for a lifetime. I heard him say that weeping may endure for a night, but how many know joy will come in the morning? You done cried every week, you done cried half the week, but don't let nobody tell you that you shouldn't cry, because I found out a long time ago that tears move God. Every time I shed a tear, thank you, God, put me a little closer to my blessed place. And every time God put me closer to my blessed place, David said, I will bless the Lord at all times, and His praise shall continually be in my mouth. I heard David when he said, I ain't got nobody else, but all I got on the inside is a praise in my heart. You can rob me of my building, you can rob me of my members, but every time I turn around, God with His good self, He keep on making a way out of no way. So Elder Witt and Pastor Witt, no matter how much trouble get on your track, you tell your members on Sunday, go ahead and hate on me, but I dare you to push me if you want to. If you push me if you want to, thank you, God, putting a hand in the situation, letting me know that everything gonna be alright. I know it don't look good now, but my Bible tells me that the end of a thing is far better than the beginning. It may not start out right, it may not go right now, but hang on in there, don't give up, just keep your hand in the hand of God and watch God turn your situation around. He may not come when you want him to come, but I learned I'd rather have 20 folk that's trying to stay connected to God than to have 100 folk that's raising hell in the church, trying to cause confusion in the church, trying to tell me how to do my job, trying to tell me what the Lord told them to tell me. Get out of my way. Let me tell you what Jeremiah said, that the Lord gives the pastors and teachers out of his own heart that would lead you and feed you with knowledge and understanding. But that's the problem in the church. They want the knowledge, but they don't want understanding. And when the understanding comes, they perplex. Oh, if there's anybody in here, I want you to be honest with yourself. Ever put your mouth on the man of God because you walked up in your business, you got mad, wouldn't come to church the following Sunday because pastor done told me what I need to do to get it right. And I don't know how you know my business, but let me tell you something, baby. When you sit on the covering of anointed men and women of God, you ain't never got to tell your business. The God on the inside, he'll show up and give a revelation for your life. Isn't that what he told Isaiah? If I tell you to tell him sit down, you tell him to sit down. If I tell you to tell him to shut up, you tell him to shut up. But how many more is too many folk in the house of God talking loud? Can't come to church and have a good time because you got too many busybodies trying to stir up mess in the house of God. But like I tell Tabernacle, if this ain't where you want to be, get on gone. Because I was here when you came, I'll be here when you get back. Because when you get over yonder, you're going to find when you run over there, you're going to find out they got trouble over there. But everywhere you go, there's a little bit of trouble. Now would you take your feet and get planted where you are? Get under the man of God and be obedient to the word of God. That place over you. That's the problem with the church folk. They don't want to be obedient to the man of God. If the man of God say sit out and get together, who he think he is? I'm a man just like he is, and I dare him to tell me to sit out. But I dare you to let the man of God get on his face and lay prostrate before God. You may not sit out, but when the man of God gets you talking to God, I declare somewhere he'll lay you down, and he'll lay you down to keep your mouth off the man of God. Go ahead and push it if you want to. Every time he says something about you, push it if you want to. Every time he walk up your street, push it if you want to. Every time he correct you and you know you're wrong, push it if you want to. Every time he tell you it's time to get together, you've been in your